Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Finally, a Banshee video. I know you guys are going to like this video because I'm going to like this video. So how many of you guys have a Banshee with a heavy clutch pull? I know I do. My Banshee clutch is kind of a pain in the ass to pull. Now, when it was stock, it really wasn't that bad, even though notoriously, even stock Banshee clutches are not known for having an easy clutch pull. However, once you start adding clutch modifications, specifically heavy-duty springs, you're going to notice a significant increase in clutch pull. Banshees are some of the most highly modified quads, and they create some of the most powerful motors, really, the most powerful output of any quad that's out there. There's just so many options and builds that you can do with the Banshee, and a regular clutch setup usually won't hold up. So a lot of people want to do heavy-duty clutch mods, and that's just going to equate to a very heavy clutch pull. Now, for somebody doing drag racing or dunes, something where you're not constantly pulling the clutch lever, you can probably get away without doing something like this. But for somebody who's riding on the trails or somebody who's doing motocross, when you're constantly feathering and pulling the clutch, it wears away at your forearm really quickly. And sometimes, we don't always go out to ride to be ripping balls to the wall nonstop. Sometimes we just want to go out and ride and have a good time and go all out for short periods, short bursts, and then cruise for the rest of the day. And having a heavy clutch lever can sometimes make leisurely riding just not that much fun. Now, in the last of the Banshee series, where John from Stupid Fast and I got together and we compared our two 4mm Banshees, we noticed that John's clutch pull is a lot easier than mine is. And that really came down to he is running the OEM style springs and I'm running the heavy duty springs. So that's definitely a huge, significant factor in creating a heavy clutch pull. And a lot of you guys are probably saying, oh man, you got to clean your clutch cable. You got to lubricate it, or you need a new clutch cable, or check your routing. Well, I've done all that stuff, guys. I have a nice, smooth route. It's in a factory location. There's no kinks or anything. It's a brand new Terry cable. It's lubricated. It's basically as easy as it's going to get in this cable-driven format. So ever since the day that I took this 4mm out for a ride, it's kind of been in the back of my mind. A lot of you guys have been giving me this suggestion. So there is a way to make the clutch pull a lot easier. But what is it? Boom! A HYMEC Magura Hydraulic Clutch Kit. Made in Germany. That's right, guys. DBC Racing hooked us up with this HYMEC retrofit hydraulic clutch system just for the Yamaha Banshee. Now, you will notice that it does say TRX 250R on here, right here, TRX 250. But apparently it will fit both quads, but this is specifically made for the Yamaha Banshee. So let's open this up and I'll show you guys what you get inside. Oh man, that is beautiful. Got spacers in here. Here's our manual under here. And this is the actual hydraulic clutch. Woohoo! That is pretty. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. I actually cracked this thing open already. Had a good look at this thing, and I also read this manual from front to back, at least the English portion. They actually have it in 6 different languages. Pretty crazy how universal these Magura clutches are. You see them on so many things, on motorcycles, quads, ATVs. Anything with a clutch, Magura is there. And I hope I'm saying that right, Magura. I used to always say Magura, but I've heard Magura in other videos, so we're just going to go with that. Now, this is a pretty sweet setup, and the main reason that I've been putting this off is for the same reason that most of you guys put this off, and it's because it's kind of a daunting thing to do. If you read up on these things, the processes of bleeding them and, filling them with fluid and everything can kind of sound a little bit tricky. But what's really nice about this kit is it comes pre-filled, pre-bled, ready to rock and roll. So basically all you're doing is running this in place of your factory clutch cable. And so if you could replace your clutch cable, you can probably do the same thing here. There's a little bit of a different technique. Like I said, I did read through the book and I did watched a few other videos. It's really easy to do. It shouldn't be hard at all. So the first thing that we're going to do is start disassembling the Banshee. We're going to take the tank off, our side shrouds and our seat, of course, and I'm going to go ahead and take our carburetors off just so that we have easy access to that clutch cable, and our gas tank too, so that we can run our clutch cable. But before we do anything, let's see how much it takes to fully pull back that clutch lever as it sits. All right, so we're over here at the Banshee clutch, that heavy duty Banshee clutch. And how we're going to measure this is with this luggage scale. Now, thanks to my buddy Jordan Blackie, who hooked me up with this, we usually use this to measure resistance bands for our weight training. Jordan's one of the strongest guys I know, by the way. And how this thing works, it's got a hook on the end. You hook that on your luggage or whatever, and when you pull on this, it tells you how heavy it is. And you guys, if you can see, it's set to pounds. So that's what we're going to be doing. What I'm going to do is just run this under, hook it on the clutch. I know you guys can't see because the bar's in the way, but it's at like the perfect height to show you the actual readout. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that's hooked on there. We'll angle this just right, and I'm making sure that I'm not dragging the band on the grip. And what we're going to do, uh-oh, what happened here? Reset it. And I'm just going to hold the handle so we don't turn the wheel, and we're going to pull back until the clutch is completely depressed right there. So it's right around 30 pounds. If I let that out, we'll try it again. Right there's all the way in. I think it looks like between like 30 and 35 pounds to pull that clutch back. That's a lot of pressure, man. You know, even for somebody who's strong, if you're doing that constantly over and over again, that's going to kill your grip. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. What is a normal clutch pull, and is 30 to 35 pounds really that heavy? Well, luckily, we've got the YZ450F sitting right here, and this thing has a nice, easy clutch pull. It's super, super, super easy, especially compared to the Banshee. I mean, you could pull that thing all day long, no problem. So let's give this thing a measure, and we'll see how they compare. All right, so same thing. We have it set to pounds, just like we had with the Banshee. So let's hook it to our clutch lever, see what we get. So it looks like it's at about 13 pounds is where it maxes out. All right, so 13 pounds and 30 to 35 pounds is a huge difference. We're literally talking 3 times the amount of effort to pull the clutch on the Banshee. So this is definitely something that's going to be worth it, I think. So let's get this Banshee torn down. We'll get that hydraulic clutch set up on, and we'll see if we can make this thing work and get into that 10 to 15 pound range. That's my goal. Hopefully Magura can get it done. Let's do it. All right, so let's break this thing down. First things first, pop our seat off. Now we'll go ahead and remove our radiator shroud. Our gas tank cover. We'll pull our fuel lines off. Keep in mind, guys, I have a dual pingle valve on here, so if you have a factory petcock, you're just gonna have the one line. So if yours is different, man, don't worry. You'll be fine. Now we've got 4 gas tank bolts to remove. Now at this point, if you have your factory airbox or any other kind of intake setup, now would be the time to remove that. However, on this quad, I've already removed those components. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove our carburetors, and we should have good access to our clutch arm and our cable. Okay, so I've got my carburetors kind of sloppily pushed to the side there, only because it's going to be easier that way to put them back in. But we have good access to our clutch arm right here and our clutch cable. You can see that runs up under the pipe, and if you guys can follow it, it's that cable right there. comes up and around right here. So that's really easy access. It's a smooth operation, smooth transition, no kinks or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take this bolt out, and we'll take our cable off, and we'll get rid of this ASV lever, this beautiful ASV lever. Now I'm going to attempt to feed this through the same way that the OEM clutch cable goes. We'll put our clutch lever in place. Now, interestingly enough, in the Magura manual, they actually suggest that you tighten down this bolt to only, I think it's 4 foot-pounds, so that if you get in an accident or something, this can actually spin on the bar instead of breaking the mechanism. Now, I, however, kind of don't like that, so I snugged mine down, made it a little bit tighter. I don't want mine spinning around. Now, we're back down here on the clutch arm, and we're not going to need this return spring anymore. It's wound around the clutch return arm. And in order to get that off, we'd have to take this little retaining piece off, pull it up, pull out the arm, and then take the spring off. Now, my intake system sticks out a little bit further because I have an aftermarket billet intake, and I'd have to take that off if I wanted to pull this arm out, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm not going to lie, I stole this idea from Rocky Mountain ATV. They actually have a great video on this same clutch install if you guys want to check that out. But they just pulled this spring off and let it sit underneath. And I guess it's not going to it won't interfere with anything. That's going to make things a lot easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that same thing. Just pull off that hook, and shouldn't have to worry about it. So now it's nice and free. Alright guys, I'm going to have to do a little bit of a voiceover here, so I do apologize. I actually lost the audio for this section of video. So here's our master cylinder. We're over top of our cases, and you can see our actuating arm on the left here. Now I noticed that the slot where the cable goes was a little bit tight, so I'm going to have to open that up a little bit. I wanted to mention that. And the other thing I noticed is that the little U channel here that the master cylinder sits in was also a little bit tight. So I think if we press it in place, it'll fit just fine. And I kind of like that because it won't wiggle around. If you go ahead and watch Rocky Mountain ATV's video where they install the same clutch kit, theirs was kind of loose and flopping around, and I didn't really like that. So I'm going to stretch out the opening on the actuating arm, and then we're going to press this into the U channel, and that should, once we put the little retainer on top, that should keep it nice and tight, and it should be pretty good. Then once we have everything hooked up, what we're going to do is adjust the free play. And how we're going to do that is by adjusting this little gap here in between the collar where our master cylinder sits and that little U channel. And what we're looking for is 4 to 6 millimeters there, and that's supposed to be the perfect amount recommended for Magura. And this will allow the system to self-adjust to any kind of clutch wear or anything like that. All right, so I have a pair of needle nose and a flathead, and what I'm going to do is just open up our little cable catch right here so that we can fit the Magura in there. And as you can see, now it fits in place just fine. And then we're going to stretch out this lever, and we're going to fit our master cylinder right into that little U channel. And we're going to measure this gap right here, get our 4 to 6 millimeters, and we're also going to have to take into account the little retainer, and the kit does come with washers, which is actually how you adjust the amount of free play here. So right here you can see I have a set of calipers, and I have them set to 4 millimeters. I went ahead and measured everything. It came out to almost exactly 4 millimeters. So this setup is good to go. I can lock everything down, get the quad back together, and we'll be able to see how this thing works. All right, let's test it out. Holy shit. I was not expecting it to be that easy. Wow. Definitely worth it. All right, guys, so it wasn't exactly plug and play, but we got it on there. So I'm going to go ahead, put this bike back together, and then we'll throw the luggage scale on the handle and we'll see if we're within that 10 to 15 pounds that we were shooting for. All right, guys, well, I'm really happy with the way this feels. It came out really nicely. It's a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be, and shit, it even matches the ASV lever pretty nicely. Now, this does have an unbreakable style lever. That's why it's got this split in the boot up here. So that'll be nice if I roll it or something. The likelihood of it snapping will be a little bit less. But shit, man, I really like this thing. I think it's worth the time. I mean, it was pretty easy. You could probably do it in like an hour. And yeah, man, I really like it. So there's one question I'm sure you're all waiting to know, and I am too. Let's see how heavy the pull is on this thing. So we got the same setup here. I apologize, I know you can't see the lever just like before. Just gonna have to trust me on that one, but it's the easiest way that you guys can see the scale. So we have it set up once again in pounds. So we'll hook it on our lever here, see if we can get it to stay. This lever is a little bit different. And we will pull. Right about there is fully closed. Pull it again. Right there is closed. 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 So it looks to me like we're getting around 19 pounds is where it maxes out. All right, guys, so 19 pounds is not exactly where we wanted to be. We were looking for that 10 to 15 pounds like the YZ450 was putting out. Now, keep in mind that dirt bike has an exceptionally easy pull. I was really hoping we would get there. But when you feel this thing, it is totally, totally different than it was before. It is night and day difference. Literally almost half of the pull that it was before. Huge difference, definitely worth the money. If you want to pick one of these up, you can get them for under 250 bucks. Definitely check out dbcracing.com. I really want to give those guys a huge shout out. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't have this clutch. And this is going to get me out on the Banshee much more, I guarantee it. All right, guys, so with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. Of course, check me out on Instagram. It's Sabo350. Thank you guys so much for all the love you guys have been giving me on there. I've been getting a ton of likes on my pictures and stuff. Most of those quads are your guys' stuff that you send in, and a couple of my projects. Really appreciate the love you guys have been giving me. Thank you for all the love you've been giving me on my videos. And just, you know, we're getting close to 25,000 subscribers here. It's unbelievable. Just want to say thank you guys so much. So that will be all, guys. Make sure to check out the build series on Project 4 if you want to see how this quad was built. I also have an entire restoration of this quad. That's neither here nor there, guys. I am taking off. It is almost midnight. It's time for bed. I will see you guys in the next video. You have a good weekend.